Hi, I'm Chef Leo.
Hi, I'm Chef Theo, and this is The Confessions of a Private Chef. Hey, Chef, how are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. How was your weekend?
My weekend's always crazy. If I'm not working, I'm going to be doing something, so for me, I just stay busy, man. ADHD doesn't let you just stop for a day and relax. We are fucked in the head with but it's a good thing, and maybe I'm blessed because if I didn't have that, who knows, man? I'd be a lazy ass.
It's like your superpower in a weird way.
I know, right? And then my kryptonite is just like, I don't know, the nighttime when I have to go to sleep, then I don't get anything done.
Because your mind is always racing.
It is. It's hard to go to sleep sometimes, man.
Dude.
So I'm almost scrolling or watching something or getting ideas. And
Hell yeah.
It's, nerve-wracking sometimes. But I love it, man. I got a lot to show for it, so it's a good thing, I guess.
That's awesome.
What about you? What'd you do?
Did a lot of work around the house. Yeah. Did some menu planning.
So you came up with a new menu.
Yeah, dude, I got like 4 menus out right now.
It's crazy. I have one for the entire 4 years that I've been doing it, man. Because I always have different people, so I figured, hey.
It's true. Ours has to, like, we have a menu for, intimate dinners. We have a menu for weekly meal, which changes every week.
Yeah.
And, then I have this other menu that's floating around for if people need stuff for their Airbnb.
Yeah. We have a pretty cool special guest today.
We do. JeriLynne Clifford.
Yeah.
The Hill Country Bon Vivant.
Yeah. We only have badasses on our show.
We do.
And so,
we're very fortunate.
I don't have to call everyone. And when they come in, they know. Because if they come on the show, they have to be a badass. If not, we don't invite you.
I get that.
She's trying to keep that laughter in as much as she can, man, but she's not good at it. But
no.
my today, my goal is to just keep her laughing. I love her laugh.
Thank you so much.
Aw, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I don't know if I've ever been called a badass before, but I'll take it.
A badass.
It's funny. I've met this woman years back at the bar when I was bartending, and her husband came in, and we sat down. At that time, she was, I guess, in the hospital business, right?
Yeah, I was a manager of the the specialty groups at what was Hill Country Memorial. Yeah.
And your husband's been with William and Chris since then. So he's been there for a minute.
He's been there for over 5 years. Yeah.
So, I love that winery. So I met her and we sat down. They were in a courtyard. And I can remember it like yesterday. And I think that day I had laid my Harley Davidson down.
Oh, no.
So I think I had like scars and stuff. I think that day I met you, I was probably limping around. And I sat there. I was in the back doing something. I think maybe doing something with my wounds and licking my wounds like a cat. And they came out to the back and we hit it off. I think we sat there and I, slacked and talked for an hour or two. And it was like a cool experience because I had never met her. And then, but she spoke about, her family being in the culinary industry. And then, of course, her husband working there with Chris. You're surrounded by hospitality. And then she was just like going off. And so I knew she was going to, she was great with people. And now later on when I, realized that she had gone back to, I guess, her first love, it was like, wow, it was natural for her. And so to see her just blossom into this amazing business for me, it's been like, wow, mind blowing. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was like night and day. It was like, oh, I'm in the hospital. I'm not sure if I'm going to be, but don't tell anybody I'm not going to be at the hospital probably for much longer. And then after that, it was like, bam. Full blown, full-time baker's chef, now soon to be published, author / I don't know, cooking school instructor probably. Who knows what this woman has in store for us in the next,
Sounds like all delicious and great things.
Right?
Yeah.
All the things, man. So anyways, cool. Welcome.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry. That was the kindest introduction.
Oh my God. I should do this for a living.
You might want to grasp that.
Only people would pay us, brother.
It's coming. Cool. It's coming.
It's coming.
We're going to charge our guests to come on.
I forgot my checkbook at home.
Oh, that's okay. Food will do.
I'll Venmo you.
There you go. Food? No. God. All right. Anyways.
So how did you make your way to the Hill Country?
So we lived in New England. I'm actually originally from South Dakota, and my husband's from Massachusetts. And I lived in New England for a long time, and we were done with the cold. And in 2017, my husband was still working for General Dynamics, and so we decided to look and see where we could go that would be warm, and transfer with him. And so we had narrowed it down to San Antonio or Scottsdale, Arizona. And so we went to Scottsdale, and
it's too damn warm.
It was okay. It was October, so it was all right. I didn't know. But we got on the plane, and I'm like, bye, Arizona. And my husband says, it's like the moon, then we're never coming back. And I'm like, okay, please, Texas, show up for us. So we got to San Antonio and fell in love with San Antonio, but we would never live in the city. We're just not city people. So the year that Fredericksburg won Best Small Town in the South, which I think was 2016 or 2017, the town we lived in, Massachusetts, Lenox, got it for New England. And so I noticed Fredericksburg. I'm part German, and so my maiden name is Frankenhoff. So I noticed the German culture and the wine. So right there. Right. And so I said, well, why don't we go check out Fredericksburg if you don't want to stay in the city anymore? And so long story short, we came up here. We had like 3 days. We went to a bunch of wineries. And after, I think it was our second day, my husband broke down. I was like, I have to confess to you something. And I was like, oh God, what is it? Oh no. And he's like, I hate my job. I can't do it anymore. I've been doing it for 35 years. I'm done. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to get in the wine industry. And I was like, you're an introvert. You want to do what? And so I said, well, okay, well, let's talk about this. So we had fallen in love with Fredericksburg. We went back to Massachusetts, and we had friends that owned a winery, and they'd get their juice from California. And so he started helping them out and volunteering to do punch downs and bottling and all of that kind of fun stuff. And then there are people out there who will take your skills and rewrite your resume for you. Yeah. And so he had a lot of skills that were transferable to the industry. So we did that, and we came back. Our goal was to come back in 2019 when our youngest was in his last year of college. And so he sent it out to, I don't know, maybe a dozen wineries, and he got like 6 interviews, and he got like 4 job offers.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that, right? Because little did we know that the hospitality industry was so desperate for people here, but I'm not saying that's why he got the job, but I'm just saying and I transferred, I had some management background. And so there was a position open at the Hill Country Memorial, and I had given up my catering business in 2016. So I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I applied and ended up getting that. And so we came here the first week of April, and we had moved in June 6th of that year. We sold everything. We brought like 35 boxes and 10 pieces of furniture, and we are now proud members of Fredericksburg.
Job just coming in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you do your research prior to coming, like saying, are we going to really love it? Is it big enough? Is it small enough?
We had done a ton of research, but also when we came back in April, we stayed in an Airbnb, and we lived like locals. We went to H-E-B, we did our grocery shopping. Can we live here?
Kind of like you're living now.
Exactly.
For the meanwhile.
Right? Exactly. That's
crazy.
And yeah, we had totally fallen in love with the people. We met people like you and others that just, how can you not love the Hill Country, right? It's just, it feels like heaven. And being from the Midwest, I would have loved to gone back to South Dakota, but it's winter there from basically October to May. And so my husband says, this is like South Dakota, only south. It's just nice people. And
we're a little bit more bipolar when it comes to the weather, though. Over there,
a little bit.
Winter, you have your summer. You have 4 seasons over there.
Yes. Here we have 2, maybe
2.5, maybe.
It depends on the day.
Yeah,
exactly. Time of day too.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's raining today, and we haven't seen any rain in a little while, but it's like we were talking about umbrellas, and it's like one of those things. It's like, oh, well, you don't need one, and then you need one,
right?
Yeah.
It could be like Texas monsoon this week. It's crazy. It's like, and I got an alert. It's supposed to be like the high of 76, 78 today. So yesterday was like 100.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit.
Yeah. Well, last night we have a pool, and my husband went over to check the pool chemicals in the morning, and he said, did we have a storm last night? And I said, well, it was raining pretty hard for it. He'll sleep through anything. And he said, well, one of the chairs was in the pool. And I'm like, I don't think it was that bad. So yeah, I guess we had a lot of wind last night too.
I'm like dreading going over to my mom's property, man. I had like a whole bunch of limbs come down like last week just with that wind. So, and I just finished cleaning it up. Spent a lot of money. I did I spent money on equipment. Now I got to rent the equipment again so I can clean that shit up. And,
hopefully it's not too bad.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's something.
So you had a little bit of a freak accident happen. Talk a little bit about this.
So it was September 9th, so it's almost a year. My husband and I were in Italy, and we received a phone call. It was like 4:00 in the morning there from my neighbor across the street. And she's like, I don't know how to tell. It was on Facebook calling. And I'm just like, did she accidentally hit this? Like, she knows we're out of town. But I decided to answer it. And she's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but your house is on fire. And I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
And she's like, we're having a freak storm. Lightning hit your house. I'm like, well, did you call 911? Like, I don't know. I was still kind of asleep, and it just didn't seem like it was really happening. Yeah. And so she said, yeah. And she had called a couple of the neighbors over, and we live, out in Vineyard Ridge. And so it's all volunteer fire departments close to us. And so she had called the fire department, of course. And then our good friends that live up on the hill, they were actually outside, because storm watching is kind of a cool thing out there because you're up on hills and you can see like all the way to Austin, you can see to Mason, and
crazy.
And so it's really cool to watch a storm. And our friends saw the lightning hit our house. So Brenda and Chris called me, and their husbands had gone down, and we had left my car in the garage with our UTV, and we actually taken a van to the airport because we were going to be gone for a while. So my husband's truck was outside. So Bob and Jay grabbed and moved the truck and saved my husband's truck. But the way the wind was blowing that direction, it burned the house down in about 45 minutes. So then Brenda called me back, and about 45 minutes later, and just said, honey, it's gone. And I just kept saying, well, what about this? And they're like, it's gone. Yeah. It's all gone.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
That's my worst fear, man.
Dude, just like that, you can lose it all, you know?
Yeah, we lost everything except the clothes that we had on our back and what was in my husband's truck.
I remember.
That's all we had.
And then the community came together like after that. Man.
The community.
Great.
What
I love about this town.
Yeah. For about 2 days. So we went to Alba that day. We're like, do we go home? We're like, no, we're going to this festival we had planned to go to. So we took the train to Alba, and we just kept crying all day, like off and on. One little thing would spark something. And one thing that sparked it, all of a sudden my husband's like, oh my gosh, our wine collection. We had 12 cases of wine that were gone. We had wanted to save some of it for like when our kids got married or had babies or whatever. And so we kept going through these things, and there was part of it like, well, is this God telling us we shouldn't be there anymore? And then I started getting the calls and the messages, and I was like, no, that's not it at all.
Wow.
This happens. Shit happens.
Yeah. And this community for only being here for, at the time, 4 years. And by the time we got home, our minister had called us. We go to St. Barnabas here in town, and they had collected money, and he helped buy stuff at Carol's antique shop to be able to make a kitchen. We didn't really even have a kitchen in the cabin. Yeah. So we were fortunate we had this cabin on our property, but it's the size of your studio. Yeah. I walk in here, I'm like, yeah, this is it. Yeah. So we had a kitchen sink, and that was it. And so we had to like kind of build something. I bought a 2-burner induction burner. Not a huge fan of induction burners, but it works. And a toaster oven. And that's what I cook in. And that's what I was even teaching online in the beginning. But it's been working.
Yeah. Sometimes from limitations, we can kind of like learn new skills too.
Oh, absolutely. And it made me kind of go back to like my catering days. So like the fridge we got, it's only 5 feet tall because there's not much room in there. So instead of going, like things would go bad in the fridge because there wasn't much room in there. And if I turned it, like it's not a great fridge. So if I turned it too cold, the stuff would freeze. If I turned it, you know how that goes. Yeah. So I started meal prepping again. And that's kind of what led to like, this is something that could help other people. So yeah, out of
one thing, necessity.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
And I mean, it's like I ran into a guy who listens to our podcast. I've never met him before in my life. I was at HEB yesterday, and he comes up to us, or comes up to me, and he's like, I really love your podcast. I've learned so much from it. He's not necessarily a foodie, but he listens to podcasts when he drives and stuff, and he stumbled upon it. I guess he follows me on Instagram. His name is Mike, I believe. So Mike, if you're listening, thanks for the words. And dude, it was like, I never thought about, how we could be helping, not necessarily from our point of view, but, even our guests. And I was like, that was amazing. It made me feel all nice and warm and fuzzy inside, and I wanted to cry. I was like, no, I'm a man. I'm not gonna cry.
Men cry.
So then I went to my truck and I cried. I did not. But anyways, he was like, yeah, I've learned so much. He has just finished listening to the story about Tim and some other people. And it was like, yeah, I never thought about it. And just hearing you say, because COVID made us do a whole bunch of things, forced us to kind of reinvent ourselves. And this fire kind of did the same thing to you, forces you to just do something.
As Scott says, we're kind of tired of having to reinvent ourselves, but yes, no, it's been a blessing. Like Salvation Spirits threw a benefit for us. Our neighborhood collected a bunch of money, which that I broke down to that one. They met us at Weinheimer's at the general store because Scott didn't even have shoes to go to work on Monday, so they met and gave us money.
And between Italy and then?
Yeah. It was bananas, but the support is still there and I appreciate it.
Oh my God, that's great. So that happened, and then what? So what did you decide? Because were you already dabbling in the whole? You were doing the cooking thing already.
Yeah, so I had started in 2022. I left the hospital and started doing some blogging about traveling. So my goal is to help people live their lives fully and live them well, and understand that, once your kids move out and you have empty nest, the life is not over. Like, embrace that. But also teaching people about hospitality, and especially after COVID. People were afraid to have people in their house or just afraid to have guests over anymore anyway. Right. So trying to encourage that. And so I was teaching cooking classes at Fisher and Weezer. And then I also was doing blog posts with travel and with food and hospitality. And then I started teaching for Recipe Kick, which is part of the La Peach, Julia Child's home in France. Yep. It's a part of the program for there. So I was doing cooking classes online for Recipe Kick, and I still am doing short content for them, but it's too hard to do the cooking class.
It's hard to juggle
on an
everything.
Induction burner and a it's just not very pretty online to watch me climb up on the little stair to put my stuff in my toaster oven. So I'm doing short content for them. And so that led to me having to create a subscription service. So I have Substack, a blog post, where I do a weekly subscription service called Mastering the Ease of Home Cooking, where I offer a curated menu with the grocery list, all of the recipes that are printable, and then a mise en place, which is the key to being able to cook your dinner in an efficient amount of time.
Mise en place, man. That's like,
it's a secret sauce.
Dude, totally. That was the first episode. And it was like, dude, it's without that, you're like lost in the kitchen for the most part.
Exactly.
For sure.
I think that's the only thing the biggest thing I took away from culinary school.
Yeah.
Mise en place.
Mise en place. Exactly.
That's crazy. That's good.
So you're rebuilding.
Yes, we are rebuilding. They put the sticks up, started on May 31st. We're very blessed. We're able to use the same foundation. We added a little bit on. We added a little shop for my husband, and then we also took some of the front of the house that we had a huge front porch, and we took some of that and kind of did some change. We couldn't change like plumbing lines or anything because they were under the concrete.
We're living area.
Yeah. But we moved where the dining room was because the dining room was faced west. And so we'd have a dinner party and people couldn't see. So we moved that to the front of the house to the east. And we kind of did the outside a lot different. It's a nod to European farmhouses because we were in Italy, and everywhere we looked, we saw a ton of aged brick and arched windows and things like that. So that's what we've modeled the house after. So
that's what I love about traveling. You get so inspired.
Yes.
You get inspired by just everything. But then you come back home and it's like we're so new as a country and stuff that you see things like, why don't we build this way? Right? So we ask ourselves, or I ask myself, like, what's so hard about just doing it this way instead of, going through the process of doing all the sticks, doing all this, the layers, it's like, and then just stands the test of time, right? So I don't know why we don't do it. And maybe we've gotten a little lazy. I don't know. Maybe we just like fastering around. But it's like my inspiration is architectural. Every time I go with, even though I love food, I'm just constantly taking pictures of buildings and stuff. It's like I got to remember this. So doorways, windows, trim, and it's like, am I doing the wrong? No, I'm not doing the wrong thing. I just love that. I love. It's like it's art. It's an art form.
It's totally art. It's beautiful over there, and it totally inspired our color palette, everything for the new house, and so it's been fun designing. And we're not, cool. We'd put our stake in the ground. We're never moving again. Well, God laughed and our house burned down. So now we're building and we're not.
Now for sure you're never going to move again.
So we're building it for us. We're not building it to sell. So like I picked some really cool marble It's called Lilac Marble, and it looks like this really dark purple splash. And
that's cool.
And yeah, we're doing some things that you wouldn't really want to remodel. You know,
you're not going to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, when you sell it, I'll give you this much. I'm like, fuck,
no.
Get away.
It's the legacy for my children. So when Scott and I are gone, I have 4 children, and that will be, here you go. Yeah. Now you can deal with the etching on the marble.
You polish it.
Right?
I mean, you go to, you're in Italy and you're going to these old kitchens and stuff, and you see the marble, how it's been worked with with the dough, and it's like indentions. You can see like a 2-inch like dip into the marble. And it's like, oh my God, how many hundreds of years did it take to get that to be like that? And you can't buy it. You got to just use it and wear it out.
Mm-hmm. I think we are kind of obsessed in this country with being perfect. I think that's why a lot of people are afraid to cook, is because it's not going to look perfect. It's not going to be that Instagram worthy thing. Yeah. But also, like, you hear people like, I don't want to have you over for dinner because my kitchen's not perfect.
Right, it's fun and eat.
Yeah. Or they don't want marble. Marble will etch. Or
it's too soft.
What if you get a stain on it? Yeah. But remember that night we had that party and we got that stain. Like,
you passed out, Joel, you knocked your teeth out, blood stains all over the place. You remember? I remember.
That was not me. I was not there. But I think that embracing the fact that everything doesn't have to look perfect is part of my goal in life, is doing that.
Yeah. Perfection is in perfection.
That's cool. Yeah. So how did you get started in the hospitality realm and in the food biz? What's your background? It's kind
of funny. It sounds silly, but my Aunt Vaughn was a caterer. And so one of my first memories, I was maybe 5, is it was a very Midwest thing in the 70s. You guys ever heard of cream cheese mints?
No, I haven't.
Okay, no. So it's basically cream cheese, powdered sugar, and some mint, and it's mixed together almost to be like like Play-Doh, And there's forms, and you put sugar in those forms, and then you make it whatever color. So they were for bridal showers or baby showers. They were all the rage. And I remember my aunt giving me the dough and me making those mints. And we just had family was very important growing up. My grandmother lived about 30 miles from us, and my Aunt Vaughn lived about 30 miles north of her. And then I had my Uncle Tom and my Aunt Barb and my 3 cousins in Summit, and then my parents and my brother and my sister. And we would go to Summit almost every Sunday and have Sunday dinner with my grandmother. And it was just part of who we were. My grandmother was part Norwegian, and so she made lefse. Have y'all ever heard of lefse? Mm-hmm. Okay, so lefse was a big thing in our lives, and it's just a lot of traditions. In the spring, my parents would take us, we call it asparagus hunting. They don't move, so is it really hunting? I don't know. But we go find wild asparagus. Foraging. Yeah, we didn't call it foraging back then. I don't even know if we knew what the word meant, but my parents would take us in the woods, and we would find asparagus, and my mother would make beautiful asparagus soup and things of that nature.
It's the flavor is just so much.
Oh my gosh, I can taste it. I can taste it. And then my mom always grew a huge garden every year. And my grandmother would come for a couple of days, and they would can or freeze almost everything. And then my dad was a hunter. And so we had venison sausage, venison steak, a pheasant, geese, all of that kind of stuff. That was what was in our freezer. So just this food culture without it's being said, this is what we're doing. And then my mom is from Virginia. So I say that I'm a Midwestern girl with a Southern soul. And so we'd go visit my grandparents in Virginia, and that's where I learned how to crab, and the smell of Old Bay seasoning to this day will still bring tears to my eyes, and the art of making deviled eggs, because that's what you do in the South, is you make deviled eggs on Sunday, and frying chicken in a cast iron pan, and those types of things. So food has just been very much a focus of my life, and I just taught myself, just by watching my grandmothers and my mom and my aunts, just food was very important to us. So
hands-on. I mean, that's
and it wasn't like, JeriLynne, come over here, let me teach you how to do this. It was just watching and learning. And then I catered my first wedding at 16. My mom is a florist, and so she was doing the flowers for her friend. It was just a backyard wedding. I think there was 35, 40 people. And my mom's like, well, JeriLynne can do that. And so she's like, can you make some appetizers? And so, sure. I mean, this was before the internet. So I was pulling out magazines and finding recipes, and so that was the first thing I did. And then I just started catering once I had my my oldest son, to make a little extra money. People would be like, well, I need something for a baptism or whatever. And I just realized that I was good at it, and I've always loved to cook. And so I just taught myself to cook. I did go to Johnson & Wales, but I did not go for culinary arts. Sorry, Dad. He's still not happy with me for that. But I just continued to do. I have a degree in management and fashion merchandising. Yeah. So I could have gone for culinary arts, but you have to work on the weekends when you're in culinary arts. You're stupid when you're 18. But anyways, I just continued to do that. And so it was something that I did on the side a lot. I had 4 kids in 5 years. So it was something I could do to make a little extra money. And then it just became, something that I'm just, you're good at it and you've got that rhythm and that's what gives you joy. And so you just embrace it.
Keep doing it.
Second nature.
Until you can't.
Until you can't. Exactly. And then in 2002, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And so I decided I needed to teach my children how to cook. And so I lined them up like the week before I had surgery. I lined them up at the bar in our kitchen. And my oldest son, I think, was in 6th grade and stair-stepped them down. And I gave them each some meat and taught them how to make a meatball. And I just thought it was important that they knew how to cook. And so I made sure that they were always around me. And they all love to cook themselves. And my youngest son is actually a chef in Austin. So,
wow.
They've all worked in the food industry at one point, which I think is important.
It is.
I think it's very important.
Yeah, it humbles you.
Yes.
Fast.
Yes, exactly. So
that and, everybody in the kitchen makes you a little tougher and stronger, man.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, before you made your trek and figuring out that you were going to live here, you lived in New England for a little while.
Yes.
But, talk a little bit about New England and the difference between, kind of the food there and the food that you find here.
So that's so funny. We didn't go back for 5 years because of COVID and everything. And we went back in June and we're going back in October. And that's one of the things that we've noticed is like there's certain things like you can't get a good buffalo wing in Texas, or we haven't found one yet. In New England, you can find a buffalo wing anywhere.
Right. You make it, girl.
Well, yeah, but I'm just you can make them. You don't know. I'm just talking about going to a restaurant. Right, lobster roll. Like chowder, like those types of things. Yeah. There's not a ton of good Italian restaurants that we found here. We like Alla Campagna here in town, but there's a lot more Italian, like pizza and things like that at home. We're starting to get that here in Fredericksburg.
I love Italian food, but I just can't go out and spend money on it. It doesn't matter where it is.
No, I've had some good meals in the north end of Boston that I would
New York.
Change your mind.
Yeah, but then I'm like, dude, I'm paying $300 for pasta.
Yeah.
True. I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
It's heirloom, flour, and it's, hand rolled by the,
by a nonna. There was a nonna there rolling it.
Well, my grandma did it here. Mi abuelita. Make dumplings pretty badass.
Hell yeah.
But I would saying, I cannot speak Spanish very well at all, but we don't have like good Mexican food.
No, we don't.
At all.
San Antonio has a place called Guajillos. Like going to the airport, I guess that's Bandera. So to the left, right before we get off San Pedro.
Okay.
Guajillos, man. The Guajillo pepper.
Yeah.
So it's like down south, like Central Mexican food, like from
try that.
Yeah. They're just a tortilla soup. So, it's funny because people are like, how are their enchiladas? There's no such thing enchiladas in Mexico.
No, dude.
That's Tex-Mex.
Yeah,
that's Tex-Mex. So but we don't even have really good Tex-Mex in New England. There's a couple of chains, but there's not a really good Mexican food culture. Taco Bell. No, that does not count.
Yeah.
And the bounty that comes off of, the North Atlantic and the bounty that comes off of the Gulf is a lot different.
Yeah. So, there's so much shrimp down here. You can get shrimp. There's the whole kind of culture from Louisiana a little bit, like the fact that there's gumbo and crawfish boils and things here where that's just not a thing in New England at all. But I do love a good cod. Like if we've gone places here and gotten fish and chips, and my husband will ask what kind of fish, and they'll say, "Oh, it's cod," and he'll get it and he'll take one bite. This isn't cod. This isn't cod. But yeah, the northern seafood culture is very different. But it's kind of, the food can be a little blander, like you think of like England. But there is a wide variety, where here in Texas, I think we have, well, in Fredericksburg anyways, we have a lot of, German leaning restaurants and things like that. I really miss a good French bistro. I know that there's some good French food. I know that Mitch is doing like a bistro night, but like there was a place in, what's the name of it? I can't remember the name. It was in upstate New York, and it wasn't far from us, and we would drive, and it was this tiny little bistro, and you could get steak frites, and they made this béarnaise butter, and I've tried to make it. It just is not as good at home.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Sit there, shoot some oysters, and oysters are different. Yeah. Sorry, don't hate me, but I don't like cold oysters.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's totally different. The coldness and stuff from that water up north, it's just amazing. I love it, man. The blandness though as well. I was in Connecticut, and I was doing a demo up there. And the first question, they see a Mexican cooking, is like, is it spicy? And it's like, fucking Mexican, nothing spicy. It's like, this morning I had eggs. There was like salsa verde on it. I had to put some Cholula, and then it has salsa matcha. 3 different salsas on that thing to get it right to the
It's not spicy.
Yeah, I got it. But yeah, everyone was coming up to me.
You're like, I can make it spicy.
Yeah, do you want it spicy? It's like, I knew they like bland, so I try to keep it on the bland side, and that's hard and difficult for us.
Yeah, there's seasoning, but it's not like
Texas
salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
We did have Tabasco.
Yeah,
we do have Tabasco.
They like the vinegars.
Yes, vinegar based.
Yeah, that's funny. Everything. I don't want to say everything, but especially here in Texas, it's like you always have like a little kick on something, But you're talking about the buffalo wings.
Yeah.
So buffalo wings there's the vinegar, but it's, they originated in upstate New York, and we have a big football culture, not college football, but,
NFL.
The Patriots. Yeah. And so there's that culture of the wings because of the whole football thing. But also there's no good barbecue up north. I don't think I had good barbecue until I came to Texas. We had some decent barbecue in Nashville one time. But even growing up, going to the South, like Virginia barbecue, it's okay. My grandmother's dead. She won't know I'm saying that. It's okay compared to Texas barbecue. Right. To me, there's nothing like good Texas barbecue.
Mesquite and Post Oak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Tennessee barbecue is a little different. Don't they do like a mutton thing there? It's like they do some lamb and mutton and.
I don't know. I think we just had some ribs. We went to a place called Martin's. It was on our drive when we were moving. We stayed in Nashville for a couple nights, and we went to Martin's, and we ended up going there twice. My husband liked it so much. He's like, let's cancel these reservations and go back to Martin's. But I still like Texas barbecue better than.
Oh, good for Tennessee. You. We're so proud of you. Those people listening. Yay.
Yay.
Hey, yuckers. Keep it going. Keep doing.
Do you have a spot here in Texas that you ate at, the Texas barbecue, that kind of changed your realm?
I really love Acre Barbecue here in town. I really love what Lance and Boo are doing. Her like throwing in the kimchi really makes amazing. The kimchi rice is really, really good.
Gochujang ribs.
Yeah, the gochujang rib. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite barbecue place in town so far. I'm looking forward to trying Mesquite. They did a pop-up at Ferris and Fletch, and I tried their crab cake. And so, my mom is from Virginia, and I used to help pick crabs, and so I'm picky about my crab cakes. And Mesquite had really good crab cakes. So
very cool.
But I haven't tried their barbecue yet.
Oh, nice.
Do you know the ETA for the opening?
Yeah, it just opened.
Oh shit!
It just opened. It was supposed to. I was supposed to go to like the friends and family thing, but something happened and they didn't pass their inspection, so they had to. But we're hoping to go tonight.
Yeah. I need to get over there.
Cool. Yeah, I saw something pop up over the weekend they were talking about their opening.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's in a really cool. That building has a lot of history.
You know what? I hope they do well because they've thrown so much money into that building. I just can't believe our city made them like totally redo the entire building, like everything, because it was functioning right in the beginning. So I love the guys. I can't really badmouth the city. I could, but it's not gonna make a difference, right? But it's one of those things like, dude, come on.
So many hoops.
Yeah, lots of hoops. But
didn't have to build a building inside the building. Something like that.
Much, but all the plumbing, all the electrical, all that shit. It's like, fuck. When do you know? Stop. When do you know? We hope. I'm really praying that they do well and everything's a success and they're there for many years. But damn, It's a lot of money.
Yeah. They're the nicest people too. I don't know if you've met them, but they're very kind people. I'm glad they're here.
And now we're going to take a quick break to hear about our amazing partner. You know what, Chef? I love these pans, man. Oh my God.
You know, it is the best tool to have in your kitchen, in your arsenal of tools. This is the one thing everyone has to get.
Whether you're a private chef or you're going on a camping trip for the weekend, I mean, you just cannot go wrong with these things.
Correct. Yeah, man. Fredericksburg Cast Iron produces a product that just, you know, it's the best thing you can get. I mean, made in Texas, here locally in Fredericksburg, and it's for a lifetime.
You know, the one that Jay gave me is definitely going to be handed down to my kids. It's like the one thing I know.
The same here, man. If not, I'll be buried with it.
You know, it has such a smooth surface and it comes pre-seasoned.
The best part about this product is that you don't have to do anything to it. It's just straight out of the box. A badass product. You can't ask for anything better.
So whether you're making, you know, biscuits in a cast iron skillet or you're searing a steak, I mean, it is so versatile and it will last for a lifetime.
Totally, man. From sauces to eggs to anything.
Dude, I know, man. I actually was scrambling some eggs in mine and it does not act like other cast iron skillets. My eggs did not stick. They came out perfect and I'm a true believer. So you can find these amazing pans at fbgcastiron.com, and if you use the promo code COAPC, you're going to get free shipping, which is an amazing deal. Don't you agree, Chef Leo?
I totally agree. That's like a $35 off. I know for a fact because I just had one ship to Arizona. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, so make sure you go on there and just enter in COAPC for your chance at free shipping on this amazing product. And you can also find them at Black Shark Laundry, I know, in Fredericksburg.
Right. And of course, social media.
And I've actually seen them at Central Market in Austin. So if you're around that area, that's where you can find them there too as well.
That's great.
Well, again, thanks to FBG Cast Iron for sponsoring this podcast. And we are so grateful to them for that. And y'all go out and get it.
All right. Back to the show, guys.
Back to the show. Cool. So you've done a lot of travel, seems like.
Yes.
So let's touch on travel a little bit. What's like one of your favorite places? I know you brought up Italy. Is there a certain place in Italy? Is there a certain region? Or is there somewhere else?
No,
do you speak the language?
No, not very well. No, and I laugh because I was trying to explain something to a gentleman in a store in Siena. And no, I'm sorry, it was in Bologna. And I was trying to tell him I wanted this pasta roller that I had seen. And he said, you know, do you speak Spanish? And I said, pequeño. And he says, no, it's poquito. So I'm like, I don't even speak Spanish either. I guess I'm sorry. I'm like, Scott says I speak Texican. Like I can kind of piece things together. Yeah. One of my best friends is Mexican, and so I take some words from her. But so I would say we love Modena, Italy. Yeah. Wow. We spent 5 days there, and we did a cooking class with a nonna. We went to her house, and it was just Scott and I. My husband doesn't cook. My husband can drink some wine, but he does not cook. And so it's kind of like, well, we'll do stuff for you if you do stuff for me. And he actually had fun, but he's really good at rolling the pasta because, you know, he was in engineering, so he's super precise. Yeah. Where I am not. Yeah. You know, I'm like, let's get it done. And yeah.
Yours looks like a tortilla, and then you just cut the slices after that, and whenever it comes out.
So he did really good. He couldn't do the tortellinis because his hands are too big. So he was cutting the pasta, and I was making the tortellinis. But I loved the whole vibe of Modena. It was very family centric. Like you'd see all these families walking around at the end of the day, and it's on the flatter side. So I don't love walking up hills.
Oh God.
But we also love Montalcino. We stayed there. Montepulciano. Yeah. We stayed in Montefalonico for a week, and I did a cooking class there for a whole week that he also did with me. And so I love Tuscany, but we also love the Piedmont region. So that's where we were when the fire happened. And I don't know if that's why it has a special place in my heart, because that's kind of where we started healing a little bit. But we spent 4 days in Lamora, which is in the Barolo region, and did wine tours. And Barolo is absolutely gorgeous. So like Tuscany's kind of actually reminds me of the Hill Country. Yeah. Because the hills are kind of spread out, where Barolo, the hills are kind of on top of each other a little bit more, and they're rolling. But there's no fences, y'all. There's no fences. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's just, you're allowed to like walk through other people's property. Like, and I asked, well, how do you not have fences? And there's no animals that eat their grapes, which kills me. Because here, if you don't have fences, you know.
Right,
those deer are going.
Yeah. Them deer.
But the guy said to me, "What? They're going to take my grapes? They got grapes. Why they take mine? Fine." You know, like and I was like, it wasn't even about deer, stealing. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So I love that. And then we did spend 3 weeks in Cabo one time, and I really did enjoy going to. I did a cooking class at, I can't even think of the name of the restaurant, but it was like up in the high desert, of Flora Farms. That's the name of it. So I really like that side of Mexico. I really want to go to Oaxaca. Like that's.
Oh, we talked about that quite a bit.
That's where I want to go.
Maybe you can join their group.
Yeah, we have a tentative trip.
When?
You can come
in the spring sometime, or if not early summer. But
next year,
of course, Ashley.
Oh yeah. Ashley, her and Phil love Oaxaca.
She's going to be she's planning it and organizing everything. So
she's our liaison.
Oh yeah. You know. So that's my foodie goal is to go to Oaxaca.
Well, there we go. We'll be talking for sure. B&B, it's going to be great.
Mezcal,
everything.
Yeah, man.
Mole.
Yeah. We went to a place in Santa Fe, Cezanne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
And they came out and they brought the mole. I thought mole was just one thing. I didn't realize there were all these different moles.
Oh, dude.
This is when we first moved here. We went to Santa Fe for Thanksgiving one year and trying all those moles. Oh my goodness, that restaurant was incredible.
Yeah. Well, Oaxaca's just supposed to be like mind blowing with their moles, so can't wait.
Yeah, and some of them are like 100 years old. The mother mole. Yeah.
I did not know that existed.
Well, now you know.
I know. Now I know. I'm smarter.
God.
So it's pretty cool. I was looking at your website a little bit, and it seems like you've really harnessed the power of the internet to make your way.
The interwebs.
It hasn't been easy. I'll say that for sure.
Really? You look like a natural when it comes to
it's easy for me, but I'm just saying
engaging maybe?
No, not the engaging, but getting people to find you. There's so much traffic out there. There's so much noise. And so really having to find my niche and focusing on that. So my website, I do talk more about hospitality and travel, but my niche online is more about cooking in a small kitchen right now and meal prep. Like that is mostly what I share on my Instagram. And then I also work with some of the local wineries. Like I'm doing a shoot tomorrow for William Chris where I create recipes to pair with their wines. And then we do a photo shoot. So then they're able to give their members some recipes to try with the wine when they do a release. And then I also do work with some of the wineries to do classes on pairing wines with food and understanding that wine not only complements the food, but the food can complement the wine and make the wine taste different too.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Understanding that and educating people here, because, Texas is a baby as far as the wine industry goes. And my goal is to help, elevate that to a Napa level, but no diss to Napa, but I think we could be Napa, but nicer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not be pretentious. Like come have some barbecue and drink some wine. And so I love the collaboration that happens here with Texas wineries.
And everyone helps each other. That's what's cool about us.
Yeah, exactly. It's an incredible thing to me. So I was asked to be the hospitality host for the Fredericksburg Food and Wine Festival.
Awesome.
And so I'm the one coordinating all the volunteers and doing all of that, that work behind the scenes I'm really excited about that event. I think it's going to be
It's going to happen next year. She's going to be, man, it was a pain in the ass. I'm never going to do it again.
I didn't say that.
And I know. I'm not saying you did. You say it's a lot of work, girl. You have
it is a lot of work.
The right personality. And you do have it.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's going to be
thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah. But I like to write blog posts. I have one that I'm working on right now about, if you look at it, I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, but if you look at from the corner of Washington to the corner of Elk, one block, all those little wineries that have popped up, you can kind of take a tour around the world just on that one little street, start off at Andrucci's and end up at Six Twists, and there's all of the little wineries in between. And I just think that we are blessed to live in a really cool community where we're embracing this culture of hospitality, and just trying to elevate it a little bit and educate people.
Yeah.
I don't want wine to be intimidating to people. I think that it can be intimidating, but I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah. I get asked all the time, what should I have with this meal? What wine should I get? What wine? Like my answer is like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no rules really. It's like, yeah, but there are some lines that people are like, yeah, you want white with fish, you want stuff, but what if that fish is fatty? So those are things that, every freaking meal, and people are intimidated by wine because if they have to ask you, obviously they don't know much about it to begin with. But at the same time, it's like, sometimes they ask you because they don't know if it's spicy or not. So, I get that. But honestly, drink what you love, because you'll know you're going to enjoy that experience. And if you find that it's too much of a contrast, with the food, that, bring more wine, Try different things. So it's like, pour bourbon.
Yeah.
Tequila.
Forget the wine, pour the tequila. My philosophy is if it grows together, it goes together. Yeah. And so anything that grows in Texas can go with Texas food, like barbecue or Tex-Mex or real Mexican, authentic Mexican food. So I agree with you. Just drink what you like. But if you are nerding out a little bit and you want to see how wine can accentuate how the food tastes, I think that there's definitely ways you can do that.
Yeah, we did. I cook for Chris sometimes. His management group up at his cabin, and it's funny because he picks by all the time. The last time we did, I think Chris took 16, 18 bottles of rosé from all over the world. We tried it, so I guess we paella. We know for sure that rosé works by paella.
Yeah,
so, but it's like you keep trying until you find the one that you love. And it's like that with all your meals. Try something different just because.
Right.
Don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Right. And one thing I do love, we just had friends visiting and we went to Calais and did a tasting at Calais, and just talking about the fact that wine in Texas is not. Those are the chickens. You've been talking about food. They're like, not me.
What's funny is that the listener may not hear it except for your comment because everything gets kind of like filtered out. So it's going to be like those chickens. So just in case, guys, we're going to be quiet for 1 minute just to capture it. No, 10 seconds. Listen.
Maybe.
They might pick it up.
They might pick it up a little bit, yeah.
No, we lost train of thought here, guys. Yeah,
but chickens. some of the mass-produced wines, I won't name any names, but from California especially, they taste the same every year. It doesn't matter what the soil tastes like, or if they got a lot of rain, or if it was really hot. The vintage doesn't matter because they make them taste the same.
Right.
Where here, you can tell the different vintages and things. And so learning that how it affects wine, I think is a cool concept, and Texas has embraced that because get out of here.
Yeah, no, I don't have time. I'm sure you don't have time either on the weekends to go out and try different wineries, and even during the week as we're prepping, getting ready for the weekend. Yeah. But I mean, it'd be nice if they're not doing it already to give an educational class, a certain day or something that way. Maybe people could get it, educated on.
Yeah,
I know that. About.
Yeah, William Chris branched off into the Texas Hill Country Wine Educator. I don't remember the name of it, but Kelsey Kramer is the head of that, and she was actually just named one of the 40 under 40, I think, in Wine Enthusiast magazine. Oh, wow. As a wine educator. That's right down the street here. So you might want to get Kelsey on here.
I know. Kelsey,
cool.
Listening?
Yeah, come on.
Kelsey, if you're listening.
Yeah, Kelsey. What's Kelsey's last name?
Kramer.
Kramer again. Shit, I'm bad with names.
I can give you her contact information.
Here you go. We're calling you Kelsey. We're coming after you. Get ready.
Yeah.
So is there some sort of a memory that you can go back to where you realize maybe it was a dish and a wine together that you're like, this just changed everything for me?
Oh boy.
Tell us first about a dish like that when you're traveling, and then just tell us at home or growing up. 2 dishes.
So it's surprising. I had Lambrusco in the United States and I didn't love it. I don't like sweet wine. I really like a dry wine. When we were in Italy, in Modena, that's their wine. They drink Lambrusco like it's Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper. Yeah. So having their ragu, which is not bolognese if you're not in Bologna. I got yelled at one time by a lady in Modena. The ragu with the homemade tagliatelle with Lambrusco. I wouldn't think that I would like Lambrusco with something, but oh my gosh, it cut through the fat. It was so, so good. So I would say that was probably the one that was like, it really can make a difference in how I liked the wine. I ended up liking Lambrusco, and now if I see it on the menu, I might want to try it. I think over at Prometheus. I think they have a Lambrusco that we had with pizza that was actually pretty good. So I would say that was it.
Do you remember what the protein was in the pasta you were eating with the Lambrusco? Was it a pork? So
it was the pork.
It works really well.
Yeah.
It's funny, but everything tastes better when you're in Italy.
True.
I mean, you have all your senses are working, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're at a winery, it's the same thing. You go to H-E-B and pick up the same wine. It may not be the same if you're drinking it, sitting, outside.
And, excuse me. And the other thing they do in Modena with their ragu is they take prosciutto, which you can't get prosciutto ground in the United States.
I like the way you say it.
Prosciutto. Because you can't, the way the FDA works, you have to, you can do raw meat, but you can't do cured meats. And so they can get it there, all nice and mushed up. So when I came back here and I wanted to make it, I was at Central Market in San Antonio, and he's like, he's the one that explained to me, no, I can't do that. And so I said, can you give me a piece about this big, which I'm saying like half an inch. He's like, of prosciutto? And I'm like, yes. Yeah. And so I came home and took it and cut it up into a bunch of pieces and put it in my food processor and just sprayed it. I didn't waste $30 on prosciutto. Oh, yeah. And that's how I made it. So having that prosciutto in there with the pork and the tomato,
Have you ever tried using like pancetta?
I love pancetta. Yeah. But they did not use pancetta in theirs.
I'm just curious. I love that fatty texture. Not but it's good.
Yeah. You can even saute stuff in the fat that you render, and it's just lovely. Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. I love pancetta with like some, in the spring with some, saute it up with some, and then throw some peas in there and some lemon zest and then a little Parmesan and some fresh pasta.
Wow.
It's awesome.
What about, so that was traveling meal.
Yes.
Right? So what about your favorite like home cook? Maybe mother made it or maybe, somebody else made it for you.
Well, you're going to laugh at what my favorite.
No, it's okay. Taco Bell. No. You know what? That's fine. I know people. I know
cheesy
chefs.
gordita.
The triple wrap crunch with government cheese.
My granny made, I would say the best memories are sitting around a table doing a crab boil. Mm-hmm. And I told you how the smell of Old Bay seasoning can like bring tears to my eyes. My grandmother had a very small house, and she'd had a huge table in that kitchen. Like you could barely make your way around it. But we'd sit there, and there would be the newspapers down, and everyone would have, there you dip it in vinegar. You don't dip it in butter. You dip it in vinegar. And yes, red apple cider vinegar. And just, licking that off your fingers and breaking those crabs. And you don't get a lot of meat out of there, but it's more about the conversation that you're having around the table,
It's like making tamales for us.
Yeah, exactly. So that and drinking a cold beer. And I'm not a big beer girl, but when I'm cracking crabs with spice, that's what I like. So cool. I would say that was a big food memory. And then with my grandmother, she was a good cook, but not super creative or anything. But she used to boil macaroni, like cheap, just make some macaroni, and then she'd cut up Colby cheese and just put it in the macaroni with a little bit of butter and then a little bit of milk and put it in. And that was our mac and cheese. Yeah. There was no roux. There was no melting of the cheese except in the squares. And so that's grandma's mac and cheese. And that's what my kids love. My kids have asked for, I want mac and cheese. I'm like, which one? And they're like, grandma's. And they never even had my grandmother's mac and cheese. They like the one I make. So that is like, that to me is very comforting. Remembering, because that was Sundays. So my grandma made it every single Sunday.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky y'all.
You put some crab on top of the mac and cheese.
Well, it's the wrong grandmothers, but they got along, so maybe we could do that, But
there you go.
Oh, that's funny.
Love it.
That's cool. I have some heritage up there in off the Chesapeake Bay in Baltimore, and some of my family tells similar stories to yours. Just the bounty of the land, and doing a garden in the summer, and then canning and preserving everything going into the winter. And then they actually used to go indoors during the winter and build boats in the winter.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, and then they would take those boats when the weather was warm enough, and then they would go crabbing, and they would go find fish and stuff like that.
Shit, man.
Dude, it's cool. And then they would hunt too. There's a lot of deer up there, and like you said, pheasants and stuff like that. So it's like they just lived off of it,
Yeah, and my granddaddy was an oysterman, so learning how to shuck an oyster at a young age, and my mom would make oyster stew on New Year's Eve every year, and oyster stew was a big thing. And to be able to get fresh oysters when we lived in South Dakota from Virginia an amazing thing. Like you don't even realize back in the 70s how hard that was to do. Nowadays you can get it from anywhere, but it wasn't that easy. So, I'm very blessed to have that kind of upbringing, very diverse upbringing. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Cool.
But I never mixed together. Like I didn't have lefse with my oysters. That would have been
that'd be weird. Yeah. Fusion now. Who knows?
That's not good fusion. That's not good fusion.
So now you're working on a cookbook.
Yeah.
Right? So
yes, I am.
Cool. I've seen the process of that. Just like, okay, I need recipes.
Yeah, it is. It's a challenge, but it's a loving project. So my motto is, or my tagline is, with grace, grit, and gratitude. So I have found in life, whenever there's been a challenge, I've had cancer a couple times. I've gone through a divorce.
Your house burned down.
My house burned down. Things of that nature. Going back to cooking, and just you're in charge of that cooking. It brings me so much joy. And trying to capture that and have people realize that cooking can bring you joy. It doesn't have to be a chore. It brings you nutrition, but we're also so lucky and blessed that we have access to food and things of that nature. So my hope of the cookbook is to be a legacy for my children. I've captured some of those recipes, but also to encourage people to try new things. But the way I'm putting the cookbook together, I kind of have it in different categories. I have like 4 different sections, and then I have menus there. So it will help people put things together. Because a lot of times I'll have people ask me, I want to have a beef tenderloin. Like, what do I put with that, or whatever? So it will help align that.
Theme, a certain
just things that have food that's brought me joy. So that's a wide swath of food.
Yeah.
So no, it's not like Italian or anything like that, because it's like my heritage is so diverse. Right. My love of food is so diverse. And so I'm just trying to contain that all together and share those tips. And I'll be working with some of the wineries and I'll say, like, this would pair well with a Tempranillo. And I'll have the wine from a local winery there, but you don't have to have a Texas wine to be a Tempranillo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'll be talking about food and wine pairings. I really love making cocktails. Have you guys started doing that fat washing of like vodka or anything? Have you done that?
No, tell me about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love a dirty martini. Like, the dirtier the better. So you take some blue cheese, some good blue cheese, and you pour vodka in it. And I usually do it like in a deli cup, and you let it sit out for a couple of hours, and then you put it in the freezer for a couple of hours. And then you take it out, and the fat molecules have all kind of formed, and you can skim them off. And then I pour it through like a coffee filter. And then I make a dirty martini with blue cheese flavored vodka. You can do it with bacon. You can do it with olive oil. Like, olive oil is really great in gin.
So you're just infusing.
So it's infusing, but it's getting that fat. It makes a little different mouthfeel for the alcohol. So just sharing like that for cocktails, or like a Bloody Mary bar with a blue cheese vodka.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come on.
Let's do another project, shall we?
Just go to Tito's and say, can you make it this way now? You're doing it fine, but you're missing the whole fucking boat on this thing.
Exactly.
Let's try this.
They should.
Yeah.
You know anyone at Tito's?
Huh?
Do you know anyone at Tito's? I wonder if we could go over to Salvation Spirits.
No, they got too much shit to do.
Yeah. They got enough stuff.
You got to take someone that has a shitload of people doing stuff for them, so they can sure that guy can make it.
Exactly.
Try that.
So what is the process like when you decided, you're like, I'm going to make a cookbook? What is that like? Is it just hit you like lightning and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that? Or like,
I've wanted to do it for a lot of years, and I had recipes from my aunts, from my grandmothers, like in their handwriting and things, in a nice little binder, and then my house burnt down. So having to recreate some of those things is from memory is
like, you can't call
been
him.
challenging. Nope, can't call him.
I know a guy
who can call.
I know a guy.
This was the Mexican. I know a guy. I have a cousin.
That's a
my cuñado.
Oh my God.
My primo.
Yeah.
I was coming back from my dinner a couple nights ago. My sister, they were having a birthday party for my mother. And I thought, man, I'm not going to make it, I had booked my dinner, and then I found out that, my mom's going to throw a birthday party. And she goes, yeah, there's this guy here. He's performing, and his wife's a medium. And I'm like, dude, and you're in church doing this? I go, this is crazy. That's like, dude, I gotta haul. And I'm like, I gotta haul ass down. I'm pulling my trailer because I'm curious to see who she can call up. You know? So I mean,
you're lucky lightning didn't strike.
No shit. So I'm like, so yeah, I know a guy.
You know a guy. That's like back home. All of the Italians, they got some stuff. The stuff that fell off the back of the truck. I know where I can get that.
We got you.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with us. I mean, call my deal. We'll make it happen.
That's hysterical.
But anyways, your thought behind it's like the book, like my creative, the way I would think on a cookbook would be like work with what I've got already that I've taken a shitload picture. Mm-hmm. I've talked to Ashley about this when we were doing our interviews. Like you don't write anything down.
She writes nothing down.
So it's like you could have your cookbook already.
Yeah, she does not write anything down. Her creative process, I've been blessed to sit there and watch it sometimes. Especially when she's doing a wine dinner. And I don't think I'm talking out of turn here, Ashley. If I am, you can yell at me later. But she'll just, we'll taste the wine. And it's like, well, what flavors would go well with this? And they'll be like, well, what if we did this with this with this? Totally. Instead of thinking like what she already has, she creates it on the fly. And she just, she is incredible. But part of working with Recipe Kick is it's a recipe-free cooking environment. Right. So it's kind of, that has taught me, the fact that I've had to teach that has helped me. So I'll go through and I have like a protein that I want to do. And I'll be like, what would be a good side with this? Like, I love blue cheese again. Let's go with blue cheese. Like blue cheese with steak is like, to me is stellar. Mm-hmm. So like, I think like a winter dish would be a really cool, like potato au gratin with maybe like some portobello mushrooms and some blue cheese or something. And so then I'll work on that. And my poor husband, he's got to try everything. And sometimes he'll be like, again? Okay. No, he does not complain, trust me.
I'm sure.
But, sometimes he'll try it. I'll be like, is this cookbook worthy? And he'll be like, I think he might need a little bit of this. And he's very kind about it. Right. No, he's very kind about it. Like, it needs a little acid, it needs a little more salt or whatever. Right. And so once I've tried it, then I will do it again and measure everything. And I'm not a measurer. Unless I'm baking, I don't measure. So that part is challenging. And then what I've done is if you sign up for my email list, I send a newsletter out once a month, and then I have people sign up to be recipe testers. And so I send them the recipe. I just want to know if it works for you because it's coming from my brain.
You need a think tank.
Yeah. And then their name will be listed in the cookbook.
Oh,
wow. So that's as my thank you to them. So I just sent out the first 40 recipes, and there's, I think, 125 in the cookbook.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
Wow. You have a pretty good foundation there.
Yeah, I do. I would say half of the recipes were already written before I started working with my editor, but she's wonderful and is helping me put it all together. And then I'm working with some lovely photographers to take pictures, and I'm trying to, some of it's going to wait until I'm in the house because that's kind of part of the story, right? The recovery from the house fire. And now we're back here. So some of the photos will be there, but I want to do some of the photos at different wineries that I'm highlighting. And I have so many friends that have offered their kitchens. All they want in return is to eat the food that I make. That's not a bad price.
No.
So yeah,
there's a lot of bees out there that'd be happy to do that for it.
Exactly. I've actually done that a couple times. I was just thinking,
you got to fuck with your husband a little bit with when you taste the food and he says need more salt, just like wait 10 minutes and then come back and give it to him. I'm just curious to see what it's going to say. We pick it up. I'm curious to say, did you really put it in there? Or it's like, oh yeah, that's much better. I'm just curious.
You would. I'm going to tell Scott you said that.
But no, do it first and then.
Then tell him. Okay.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Do it first. I'll do it.
And then, I'm like Scott. At least, that'd be a great way to fuck around with his
If he gets upset, I'll say, Leo told me to do it.
It was all Leo.
Well, guess what, babe? I didn't touch the shit. You're just picking on me. Love it.
That's funny.
Wow. So I love how you're interweaving the story of like rebuilding like your house into the progress and the process of writing your book. Because there's always the power of like a great story that captivate people. And I think that it would be a great, just having that. So this thing that happened to you, this terrible thing, it ultimately is turning into a blessing.
Absolutely. And I have to remind myself of that. Like, we're purposely leaving on Wednesday. We're going to Willamette Valley. It's Scott's birthday in a couple of weeks, so we're doing that. But we did not want to be at the house on the 9th. When I see the people over there working, A lot of them are Mexican, and they'll turn up the music, and I'll be like, turn it up, baby. Like, I want to hear, if you're out there playing that music, you are working hard. And so, but if I don't see any work happening, it's really hard. It hurts. It's, I mean, I love my husband, but living in square footage this small, there's some challenge to it for sure. And so I am going a little stir crazy, but yeah. But summer I think has been harder because I can't go hang outside because it's 100 degrees and I would melt. But it was, like January and February, like I can take a walk and get out of the house or get out of the cabin. And so I like to encourage people to realize like there's not a lot you can go through that you can't come out on the other side. What's that saying that what Churchill said? If you're going through hell, keep going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen the fire of hell, and we're going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hell, you may even like it. You want to stay. Most people who get into trouble and have a lot of fun, end up in hell. So it might be okay.
That's not my end goal.
I know. That's funny.
Wow. So every episode, we kind of tie in a recipe. A dish that maybe we can kind of co-create or collaborate on, or
at some point when we have time. Yeah.
When we have time. Is there a certain dish that comes straight to your mind as like, you would love the viewers or the people watching this or hearing this, to kind of engage with?
One of my favorite things to make is a roast chicken.
Oh.
It's so simple. Mm-hmm. I do the Thomas Keller method where all I do is just salt it to death the day before and just let the skin like dry out a little bit. And then just roast it, I think at like 475 for 50 minutes until it's done. And then make some really good mashed potatoes, saute some green beans, just keep it super simple. I think that is a fantastic meal.
Let's recreate our version.
Yeah. There's a really cool, in the new season of The Bear, there's a scene where Thomas Keller is teaching how to do his roast chicken.
I was fangirling at that time. Like we're watching, I'm like to my husband, I'm like, that's Thomas Keller. That's Thomas Keller. I had all his cookbooks. Oh yeah. They've all burned down. I had his cookbooks, and he's intelligent. He's just an amazing chef. But yeah, The Bear. Yeah. Holy cow, what did you guys think of that show?
Man, yeah. What people, it's funny too. It's like all my friends from back home, they're like, is life really like The Bear? I'm like, well.
It's worse, man. It really is. I mean.
Well, you were talking about the ADHD. I have ADHD too. Yeah. And I think that is sometimes a blessing and a curse.
That's a requirement to come on.
The one requirement,
We could talk for hours because we can't stay on track, right? Squirrel. But I used to manage a restaurant. I was front of the house. I did not cook behind the line. I was front of the house. And I can see some similarities with the tension in the kitchen, even though my chef, his name was Jeff, we called him Chefry. Chefry was not like The Bear as far as the yelling and everything, but the whole yes chef and all of that, like it was like that, definitely. But season 2, the episode, The Fishes.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
I had to stop it. I was crying so hard. Yes. Jamie Lee Curtis, holy cow. She was just intense.
I know.
Yeah. It's a good show. It definitely is a good show.
The matriarch figure that's just kind of plagued and just,
Yeah. But it answered a lot of questions about why he's so messed up.
Is the way it is.
But it is hard. I mean, it's harder. I feel like it's harder than what TV really portrays.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of shit going on in the background on the personal side and, the professional side, and everything just comes together. And it's like, and then you still got to produce.
Yeah. I don't think people have any idea the time, the effort, the thought process, all of it that goes into it. One of my favorite things when I was catering is I would ask, they'd want to hire me, and I'd ask, okay, what's your budget? And they'd say, we have no budget. You have a budget.
You have a budget.
You have a budget. Trust me. And so I would always come back with like my highest price stuff. Like, okay, I'm going to do a beef tenderloin. I'm going to do all this. And I'd be like, this is outrageous. And I'm like, well, you had no budget.
I know.
But when I tell people what I charge per person, a couple of people have been like, I can't believe you charge that. Well, the work that goes into it, the cost per hour, the cost of the food, break it down, sister. Like it's not
for you. I gotta do this shit.
Exactly. It's not easy. And we do it because we find joy in it, right?
Right.
That's the only reason.
No, it pays well. It's not bullshit.
Don't tell anybody.
Not bullshit, people. We do it because we find joy in it. It's a way to express ourselves creatively. And, I get fueled by people enjoying the food.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yes.
And and of course it pays well.
It does.
That's the last thing.
Yes.
But
yes.
Most important.
For sure.
All right, we'll give it that.
All right, there you go. I knew you were going to agree with me at some point.
So, going back to Thomas Keller real quick, have you eaten at the French Laundry?
No, we've never been to Napa. We have not been to Napa. It's on my bucket list for sure. We're trying to do travel outside the country a little bit more first, and then when we get a little older, I'm almost 60. Like I'm 50. I'll be 58 this year. And so I have some health conditions, and so like trying to do that travel outside the country first, and then that's like once I hit 60, we'll be doing more inside traveling. But we did look at going there instead of the Willamette Valley, but this time of year is so expensive because it's the beginning of harvest, I'm guessing, and it was crazy expensive to just go to Napa. So we'll get there someday for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, Thomas is waiting for me, I know.
Well, and if he's listening,
chef.
If he's listening, he can totally come on.
Yeah.
We'd love to have him on.
We'll call in.
Hell yeah.
Or we'll go there and say, hey, man, can we sit in the corner?
Yeah.
Maybe you know a guy, Leo. Maybe you have a primo in the kitchen somewhere back there.
Maybe back there.
Do you know a guy?
Call in a favor.
Call the dishwasher.
But there's no chickens there. Like, how are you going to have the chickens in the background? I think we need Thomas Keller to come.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. You're right. I'll work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And if he does come, you can, you're going to have to help interview him.
Yeah, you're doing
definitely.
The chicken.
I'll roast the chicken for him. Oh my goodness. That'd be crazy.
It was awesome having you.
Really thank you.
Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, tell us every possible way that they can get a hold of you.
Okay. Here we go. So my website is Hill Country Bon Vivant. That's BONV as in Victor, IVANT. So a bon vivant is a lover of life.
Of course.
A lover of all big things, right? .com. So you can go on there and that's how you can find me. I'm on Substack as the Hill Country Bon Vivant, and that's where I have my weekly subscription, but I also do share some free recipes on there. And then I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram was hacked, and so when I came back, I had to do the dang underscores.
You made it when you get hacked.
Dude. So it's the_Hill_Country_Bone_, and by that time Vivant would come up. But I had the Hill Country Bon Vivant, all with underscores at Instagram, and I share my life in stories on there is all nonsense from everything from menopause to raising 4 kids to marriage, and then but my stuff that has to do with cooking is all in my feed.
Nice.
Cool.
And then
soon to be cookbook.
Yeah. In the cookbook, so we're hoping to get that sent off to the publisher next September. I got an extension because my house burned down.
Right, of course.
And because the whole house burning down.
Excuses.
So we're hoping to have that out for spring holidays, which means Mother's Day, Easter, that type of stuff in 2026.
Are you going to have a distributor, or do you think it's just going to be, you're going to be selling it from your website?
Both. It'll be available on Amazon, and then it will, a lot of the wineries here have agreed to sell it because I'm going to include them, but also it'll be on my website.
Digitally as well, I'm sure.
Come
on, yes.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, for all those.
There's all this technology iPads, where you can do that. Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool. Man, cool. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Very excited for
it. We get an autograph book?
Absolutely. I'll come back.
Yeah, okay.
I'll come back to talk about it. Promise?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
We're charging by then.
Wait, charging the guests or charging the listeners?
Both probably. Who knows? Shit, double up.
You know a guy that can make that happen.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah. Dude.
Well, what a great interview. It's been very lovely getting to know you this little short time that we've had. And I just look forward to everything that you got going on, and I'll be following along online.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys at the Food and Wine Festival next month.
I'm working.
I can actually say now next month. Yes,
coming.
You are working.
Yeah. I'm booked that day. I might have to sneak over there in between prepping.
Yes.
Just to see you and say
hi.
What's up?
Yes.
Get me in.
And we'll have to get you involved next year.
Yeah, like, give me a band. VIP. Yeah, for sure. Well, I can't wait. So your episode should come out in about a month. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, so those that are listening, yeah, it's not going to come up a month again later after you hear this. It's just
so we'll be close to the Food and Wine. Yeah, even closer.
Yeah,
awesome
for sure. So, but anyways, yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me,
brother.
Yeah,
it's always cool hanging out with you on Monday.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Thanks again.
Hey guys, and if you're listening or watching, make sure to follow us, drop us a like, leave us a comment. If there's something you don't like, go ahead and complain about it. We really don't give a shit. But we like to hear what you have to say anyways.
Or if there's something you like, you could put that too.
Yeah, totally. It works either way. But thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm. And now it's soon to be YouTube.
Yeah, Confessions of a Private Chef, of course. And follow our personal pages too.
Absolutely.
What's your spelling again? I know what it is.
The Dine and Dude.
Yeah.
The Dine and Dude. Just look me up.
Leo Aguirre. For the gringos, Aguirre. Chef Leo Aguirre.
Or Eat FBG.
Or Eat FBG TX. Yeah.
A great resource.
Texas. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you can check out Theo's website. There's a link up there. It's with his menu, what he has to offer. He travels, he'll bring the meal to you, or you can hire him as a private chef, or
hell yeah,
me, or if I'm busy, back to Theo.
And there you go.
Or, of course, our beautiful guest today.
Yes, absolutely. If you want a private cooking class, if you come here and you have an Airbnb, I'm happy to come teach you all how to cook a nice meal together.
There you go.
Doing a little tapas together is fun. Or
you can just have your head over your shoulder while you're cooking too, right? You know what? Everybody I get asked that a lot. Yeah. Can I watch over your shoulder? Yeah, sure.
Just stand back because my knife. Yeah. I point with it.
Cooking like that with 2 hands, 2 knives.
Some people throw salt,
You never know. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening.
Thanks again.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.